Bases dropped on Thursday Thoughts here on SDH AM, and yes, we are a little early because, well, why the hell not? John here, you there, and batting leadoff, wasting no time in a no dilly, no dally zone. And it appears that our first guest, the young gentleman, otherwise known as Dax Mccarty, are you preparing for an athletic endeavor, sir?
Negative. But it was an athletic endeavor this morning, getting my kids ready for school, which is why I have to be brought to you by my Hyundai Santa Fe here. Just dropped the kids off at school.
Presented by Hyundai. See, like the full intro and open for everything for something like Dax Mccarty presented by Hyundai Santa Fe large vehicle.
Of course.
Of course. First off, thanks for parachuting in, and it is officially the run-in, I guess, for Major League Soccer. I want to go to Leagues Cup and kind of walk our way forward because this is the first time we've had you on since the news broke about additional matches and things like that. When Leagues Cup, I want to go beginning. When Leagues Cup came in as an idea, what did you think about the idea as a tournament?
I thought it was a good idea. I really did. I thought it was unique that Major League Soccer and Liga MX, we always were on the verge of, I think, kind of this explosion of quality of games between each other. I was always hoping there was going to be a chance for more games between MLS and Liga MX. I just didn't know what that looked like, because anytime I had participated in CONCACAF Champions Cup, they were always electric games, and they were important games and big games. And I think it's right for leagues in the same region to want to try to grab hold of, more of the market, more eyeballs, create a rivalry in a more organic fashion. And so I thought the Leagues Cup idea, it was a good idea. Obviously, the first 3 years, there have been some tweaks, and I know that from the Liga MX side, probably feels a little bit one-sided, considering every champion has been for Major League Soccer and all the games are played in the U.S. So certainly sympathize with them with that aspect. But overall, I think it's been a really great 3 years of kind of testing out how this tournament was going to resonate with people. And look, you're never going to please everybody. I think that's the one thing I've learned about sports in general, maybe just life in general, is that there's always kind of two sides to an argument. And, some people love it. Some people might not love it so much, but I certainly have been a big fan of it.
And this year's tournament had its own batches of Ape Nuts Banana Foster that kind of went with it. Where you had games that were all over the place, and red card here, and that, people doing their thing. I mean, of the tournament in general, as I'm building up to the final, what did you think about this year's tournament in and of itself, with all of the inherent craziness that it had in moments?
Yeah, I enjoyed the tournament. I really did. I thought it was entertaining. I thought it was chaotic. Mm-hmm. I thought it was a little bit unhinged at times, but I feel like that's what you get when the stakes are raised and the stakes are a little bit higher. And I feel like Liga MX and MLS have done a really good job of making it valuable with the rewards that you can receive for playing in a big tournament mid-season, right? The first and foremost, the CONCACAF Champions Cup spots are extremely valuable to every club. If you go to every CSO in Liga MX and Major League Soccer, they would tell you that being able to qualify and play in continental competitions where you could potentially qualify for the FIFA Club World Cup, that's extremely valuable. And that will help ownership go and get more quality players. That will help your teams build more depth, all of that. So that's very valuable. And then the second part of it for the players is the monetary incentive, right? The fact that you want to win a trophy, but also that the further you go and the deeper you go, there's a significant monetary value attached to this tournament. So for me, that made it intriguing. That made it interesting. I think you saw players that cared, players that wanted to win. And then, listen, you saw, which I'm sure you're getting to very quickly, how important and frustrating it was when players lost, and how emotions kind of got a little bit out of control and overtook people when things didn't go their way, because this is still a tournament that I think the players find a lot of value in.
Have you ever been in a scrum situation like we had at the end of the final? Have you ever been in chaos like that before?
Not, I would say not that elongated,
Mhm.
but certainly a scuffle that heated for sure. My first red card I ever got, which I still think was very, very unfair. I'll just put it that way. It
Go.
was Nashville against New York City FC, and it was a little short free kick situation where both teams didn't really know how to handle it. I didn't think the referee handled it in a good way. And then there was a coming together of me and Maxi Morales, a couple old dogs going at it.
Mhm.
And there was, there was pushing and shoving and grabbing and throwing people around, and it was a little bit chaotic. But listen, I've been involved in stuff like that. It's never a good sight. It's not. It takes away from what I think was a really good game and a really great performance from the Sounders.
And I'm going to leave my Maxi Morales joke off to the side because that's easy pickings early in the morning. Pushing you, head butting you in like your short ribs or something like that. That would have been where I'm but I didn't go there.
Sure.
End of the match, chaos happens, and I mean this is like chaos upon chaos upon chaos. You listen to the call on the network, and Jake is trying to monitor through it. Taylor has had enough. He is completely and totally nonplussed, disgusted. Take your pick. What, as you were watching it, wherever you were partaking it, what was your vibe of like, oh my God, this is completely and totally off the rails, out of control here?
I mean, my thought generally was this is a big disappointment, and this is unnecessary. It wasn't like it was an intense game. I thought it was a great game. I thought it was a great final. I thought that the Seattle Sounders were brilliant throughout the entire tournament, and their performance should have been celebrated, and that moment shouldn't have taken away from their moment as a club and what they have turned into here in Major League Soccer. But it did. I mean, you have to acknowledge that. It was just a big disappointment for me. I wasn't in the studio. I wasn't covering the game. My boss actually gave me that weekend off, and so I wanted to watch it from my house. I was watching it from my couch, and I was a little bit stunned. I really couldn't quite believe what I was seeing, especially from such classy, world-class players in terms of on-field performance, right? I mean, we've seen Luis Suarez act up in the past, so that really wasn't a surprise. But I mean, some of the stuff we saw from Busquets and from Inter Miami, it was just really disappointing. It took away from a great game. It took away from us what we should have been doing, and what we will be doing is celebrating the Sounders and a great win and another championship, and then becoming, I believe, the first club in North American history to win every trophy on offer for them. And a great performance from the center backs, Jackson Reagan and Yamar, the central midfielders, Obed Vargas and Christian Roldan. I mean, Christian Roldan got a call up to the U.S. men's national team from vacation because of his performances in Leagues Cup. So we should be talking more about that. But unfortunately, everyone sort of gravitates towards the negative aspect of what happened in that game. And that's a shame.
Yeah, and then you have Major League Soccer come on top, and there was a hue and cry that Major League Soccer should come on top of what the Leagues Cup Disciplinary Committee decided. Luis Suarez gets 6, which basically means you're not in it next year. Go sit in the corner. Then Major League Soccer comes in, gives Luis Suarez an extra 3, which includes a rematch with Seattle at the Erector set coming up in a little bit. Because you knew there would have been receipts. There absolutely would have been, or there should have been the thought of receipts, right, very, very least. So covered that, gave him an extra, and that was it. No extras from Sergi Busquets, Maxi Falcone, Jackson Reagan, Jay Bell, Tomas Aviles, Chelo Wegant, just Suarez getting the extra 3. What did you think about that?
Yeah, I think generally there's a lot of nuance to this situation and to what occurred. Full transparency, I think people need to realize, and I have to acknowledge, I don't have access. You don't have access. The common fan and supporter does not have access to all of the referee reports, player reports, video evidence. Right. We don't have access to majority of that. What we saw, everyone basically just sees what happens on the broadcast. And so there's nuance and context to all of this. I can assure everybody that there were no decisions made without every single shred of evidence being taken into account. And so when you add it all up, I generally think Major League Soccer got this right. Could you have given Sergio Busquets maybe a game in Major League Soccer for throwing I don't even want to really call that a punch, because
it was a short right. Yeah.
it was a close-fisted love tap, right? I don't really think Sergio Busquets got his money's worth, and he's not that type of person or player, which is so strange why he did that, right? I mean, I think it shows you how kind of discombobulated the whole situation was.
Right.
But I was definitely spitting. Look, I don't have to sit here and tell you, John, how grotesque spitting is. I think that we can all, as a society, I know it's hard to agree on something. We can all agree that spitting on someone is inappropriate and not something that should ever be done in any situation. But it was done. It was caught. Major League Soccer came on top of the 6 games, so he has 9 games total. I was thinking in my head anywhere from 3 to 5 games I would be okay with. And so that, look, it's 3 games in the league. I think it hurts Inter Miami. I think Luis Suarez, will he learn from it? Will he not? I don't know. That's, he's got a track record. And so I generally think in the situation, when you take everything into account, I believe Major League Soccer did get the decision right.
Okay. And Dax Mccarty, brought to us by his Hyundai Santa Fe this morning. And as we go through everything here, we're now in the run-in for the last handful of matches, unless, of course, you're talking about Messi and friends, who have 6 matches this month to get back online. Let me ask it this way. Does the extra 3 that Luis Suarez gets give him a bit of a vacation and recovery time, knowing how his knees are at the age of 38? It's almost like an inadvertent vacation to get him ready for the stretch run almost.
Yeah, John, I did describe this on my podcast yesterday as a potential blessing in disguise for Inter Miami, Luis Suarez, and Javier Mascherano. I'm certain that everyone involved would have loved for this incident not to happen, myself included. But now that it has, and now that the suspensions have been doled out, you're spot on. This is a built-in break for Luis Suarez, who, let's be honest, if you watch him play, at times he looks like he's running around on one leg. He looks like he's in pain. He doesn't look like he's 100%. But to his credit, he has stayed healthy and fit throughout the entire season. And while you can argue his effectiveness in certain moments in games, he still has the soccer IQ up here that is extremely high, one of the highest in the league. You witnessed that with some passes that he made in Leagues Cup. You've seen that with some of the playmaking ability that he now has shouldered, because he isn't scoring as many goals as he used to. But I did argue that, Javier Mascherano, when Luis Suarez is not available, he doesn't really have that many other options. They don't trust Alan Obando. He doesn't play often. There are times where he puts Tadeo Allende up top for a little bit of pace, but now this is a moment for Mascherano and Inter Miami to experiment, to see how they could play if Luis Suarez isn't available, but also, like you said, a moment to get Luis Suarez a little bit of a rest for those heavy legs and those older legs going into a very important part of the season.
Yeah, they have as many as 4 matches in hand. They play 6 matches for the remainder of this month. And the chaos in the Eastern Conference right now, you have 6 teams separated by 6 points, going from Cincinnati at 52 to Columbus at 46. And then the 8-9 even has the idea down the line that you could have Hudson River as an 8-9 if Chicago decides that they don't want to be in playing in the postseason. When you look at the chaos in the Eastern Conference, who are you looking at? Do you think it's going to be this 9? Do you see New York? Do you see Red Bulls hopping in? How much jumbling do you see in the Eastern Conference here in the run-in?
I see the Eastern Conference as being set right now. I do not see the New York Red Bulls overtaking the Chicago Fire for the 9th and final playoff spot. New York City FC has, I think, 1 or 2 games in hand on most of the other teams in the Eastern Conference. And New York City FC is in good form. They are a dangerous team. And all year long, John, I just haven't seen the New York Red Bulls show me the consistency that I've wanted to see from them to convince me that they are going to be able to make a run like they made last year, sneak into the playoffs, and then be dangerous. I don't see it. And it hurts me because obviously, I'm a former Red Bull. That's my club. I spent the majority of my career at Red Bull. So, of course, naturally as an analyst, you have to be objective and you have to analyze things how you see them. But, the fan in me would love to see them go on and do well. But the reality is that I have to call it and be honest about what I see from them. I don't see them being able to overtake the Chicago Fire, especially with what Greg Berhalter's doing right now with that attack. They look scary. They look dangerous. They look like they're playing with no fear. And that's something that I appreciate about Greg and his teams. As far as where the rest of the East is going to shake out, your guess is as good as mine. I analyze things. I think Philly and Cincinnati are going to make that top four. I think Inter Miami is going to squeeze into that top four with how well Messi's played all season. And then I think Nashville is going to have a shout. I think Orlando is going to have a say. I mean, there's just so much quality in the Eastern Conference right now. I've said this for the entire season. Top to bottom, this is the most quality we've seen amongst one conference in Major League Soccer history in the East right now. There's any one of 7 or 8 teams who could come out of the Eastern Conference and represent it in MLS Cup.
Couple of matchups this weekend. Cincy is hosting Nashville. Right now, Nashville's a slight favorite on the road at a plus 150. Then you can look out west. You've got Seattle and LAG. Seattle's a big favorite there. But Vancouver and Philly is also one to keep an eye on late, where you might be having your Nano box or whatever you call it when there's 9 games going on in the monitor at the same time. Vancouver slight favorite plus 112. San Diego, Minnesota, and I do want to save Atlanta and Crew for last. But when you look at those other marquee matchups, what sticks out to you this weekend?
San Diego, Minnesota. I'm glad you hit on that because San Diego is creating history right now, right before our very eyes. And preseason predictions are a fool's errand, so I'm not going to beat myself up too much for it. But I had San Diego finishing last in the West.
Wow.
And but I'm giving myself a little bit of grace here because Chucky Lozano, great player, great signing. Anders Dreyer, designated player, coming from the Belgian league, so a little bit unpredictable to see how well he could have done. I don't even think the San Diego scouts could have predicted Anders Dreyer being the front runner for the MVP right now, having an absolutely phenomenal season. So full credit to San Diego. What they're building could become the first expansion team in MLS history to win the Supporter Shield. I've said for a few months now that I do believe that they will win it. Now, Philly, they continue to impress. Inter Miami, you can't count out the amount of games in hand that they have. And a rested Lionel Messi, a motivated Lionel Messi is always going to be a problem for the rest of the league. But San Diego against a very good, a very dangerous Minnesota United team, that is sneakily one of the best games in MLS this weekend. And then Charlotte, Inter Miami. Charlotte is actually the team that's in the best form in the league right now for people that haven't been paying attention. They've won 8 consecutive games. And Christian Kalina, the 2024 goalkeeper of the year, he had a dip in form. Now he's back. I think they've got 3 clean sheets and 4. There's just so many good storylines happening in Major League Soccer right now. That Charlotte Inter Miami game, I'll be really curious to see how Inter Miami responds after the Seattle loss.
Charlotte, a slight favorite at a plus 147. Messi and friends on the road at plus 150. And San Diego FC, they've got players who probably weren't even household names in their own household doing what they're doing in the conference. Want to wrap up with Atlanta and Columbus. Atlanta is a slight dog. Crew coming on the road at a plus 137. With Atlanta, with what they did in the secondary window, 6 out, 6 in, 12 transactions. What have you thought about Atlanta getting the big win in Nashville last time out, and now they get to host Crew?
Yeah, Atlanta, for me, if we're not talking about the LA Galaxy and the absolutely terrible season that they have had, Atlanta United is easily the most disappointing team of the entire Major League Soccer season for me, considering the expectations going into the season. I didn't see it coming, quite honestly. I thought that their big-time designated players, their attacking players, would have carried them to more wins and been way more competitive. But it's clear that Atlanta feels like they need to start to refurbish and redo the roster, especially defensively. We've already started to see the transition happen. A couple of young center backs out, which is a little bit of a head-scratcher for me. Efrain Morales is starting World Cup qualifying games and beating a team in Brazil for Bolivia. And he's 21 years old. Noah Cobb is a staple in the U.S. youth national teams and a homegrown. Both of those guys out. Barakal and I believe Inea Mihai in. After Derek Williams also goes to back over to England to Derby County. So there's just a lot of moving parts here with Atlanta United, but it's certainly redoing and rebuilding that back line is where Chris Henderson and Garth Lagerwey's priority is. You see Brad Guzan go to the bench, young goalkeeper Jaden Hibbert come in, get a clean sheet in Nashville. I believe that was their first win since May, which is honestly, John, alarming. And so I know Atlanta fans are disappointed and upset. So Atlanta United's got a big task on their hands. I do believe Columbus is the favorite. I do believe Columbus is going to win that game. I believe their new striker, Wessam Abu Ali, is going to add a different dynamic to that attack because we know Wilfred Nancy teams, they're going to have the ball, they're going to have possession. They've been lacking a killer instinct all year long. Diego Rossi has had to carry that attack, and Daniel Gazdag hasn't been the goal-scoring threat that we thought he would be. Jason Russell-Rowe is young and a little bit inconsistent. And so Abu Ali needs to come in and he needs to be a success because Columbus, they have struggled the last couple of weeks, but they could pose a big threat down the stretch to teams fighting for that shield.
Your phone didn't overheat.
No, it didn't. It's crazy down here in Florida. It's already about 90.
I know. Look, full credit to your phone manufacturer and to your provider that you've survived the segment in the Sunday Santa Fe, where we kind of went through a whole lot of everything since your last visit. As you always know, you've got the keys to the kingdom. You know where the garage door opener is. You know where the key is under the mat. Anytime on Friday in the hour of chaos, the last hour of the show.
Love it.
You're bored. You want to come in. You want to speak your piece. You got something on your mind. You hate breakfast, whatever. It's like, man, this muffin sucked. Anything like that's on your mind. Friday's wide open for you. Glad we were able to catch up.
Love it.
Be safe going north, and we'll catch up with you soon. Thanks for dropping by.
Cheers, John. Always appreciate it. Pleasure.
All right. Dax Mccarty, everybody. And he's going to put his phone down. And good for thanks to Dax, and thanks to everybody at Major League Soccer for dropping by and hanging out with us. And it was good to catch him in a parking lot. And like I said, I'm glad his phone didn't overheat. So that's the way we're starting Thursday. Thursday is what this is. Obviously, hour number 2 is the Power Hour with Nino and Nico. Nino, obviously, like I said, I don't know the topics that we bring in with Nino, but I imagine we're going to be talking about CONMEBOL, and I imagine we're going to be talking about what's going on with the Independiente and the Copa Sudamericana and what's going on overseas and all the other things. That's at 10 o'clock to start hour number 2. Then last half hour to get the Pacific perspective on everything. We'll find out once again about how Brian Schmetzer is continually underrated and underappreciated, I think, as a coach in Major League Soccer. Our buddy Niko Moreno joining us from Pulso Sports and Sounder at Heart. And he will join us in the last half hour of the show. And we've got your thoughts and anything and everything on the table as well as we kind of lean our way into the weekend. Quick reminder, tomorrow, 10 o'clock, Danny Higginbotham is going to join us to give his thoughts on the weekend. He and Steve Cangelosi have Charlotte and Messi and friends this weekend. We'll talk a little bit about that. Probably get Danny's thoughts on Leagues Cup. And I know I want to ask Danny about Nottingham Forest. I want to sneak in a Premier League question because of the time that he gets to spend with the Peacock and what he gets to do in covering the league in England. So I want to sneak in a Nottingham Forest question with Danny. Danny's going to join us at 10 o'clock. Hopefully our friends from Beyond Goals Mentoring can join us at 9:30. And we'll see if there's anybody else that wants to drift in the 9 o'clock or in the 10:30 slot, and we'll get you ready for the weekend all across the board. We do have news about Chelsea this morning that we have to get into among all of the other newsy things. And we've also got to cut promos and let you know about all of our friends here and what's going on here at SDH. So once again, we started early because Dax jumped in early and I didn't want to hold him to wait for 5 minutes and then start things off and then we'd be done 20 minutes later. I went ahead and started early with Dax. So for all the 906s, we got a 902. So that at least gives me 3 weeks of make goods for that, 3 episodes of make goods for that. So morning, everybody. Morning, Alex. Morning, David. And morning, Alex. No, I am not picking on Team Small. I was picking on the matchup in and of itself with Maxi Morales and Dax Mccarty. So no, it was more along the lines of Dax and Maxi in and of itself, and not picking on Team Small. Hashtag. 68 degrees in Marietta. That's rather temperate, so that's very, very cool. Thanks for dropping by, as you guys always do when it comes to SDH AM and Thursday Thoughts. Okay, let's run through all the promos and get you caught up with anything and everything going on. I guess Dax qualified as opening kickoff. Brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. There's your QR code for those of you hanging out with us and accessing us however you are doing so. You hit that QR code to start your day with Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. You buy out the store. We recommend you do that. But we also recommend at checkout that you use the code SoccerDownHere15. And then you get 15% off your purchase. They in turn take 10% reinvested in youth games, youth initiatives brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. We thank Dax Mccarty for being our opening kickoff this morning and joining us from Florida, where he had dropped off youngins for their educational purposes. So it's always great to catch up with Dax and everybody at our friends at Apple TV. And thanks to our friend Kirk Reynolds for orchestrating all of these all season long. The 10 o'clock slot is his on Friday, and that's why we have everybody drop in, which reminds me, I probably should catch up with Jess and see if Jess wants to join. She and KCD are in Chicago. I just like saying the word Zinkernagel, by the way. And so Chicago's matchup has Jess and KCD. And where is it? Chicago and NYC. So they've got a good one. Chicago right now is favored at a plus 106, and NYC on the road's a plus 219. This one pretty much, I think, would go a long way, especially with tiebreakers for that 9-10, the 8-9-10. So keep an eye on that one coming up this weekend with KCD and Jess, the Wonder Twins. They have Chicago and NYC. So other stuff that you need to know about when it comes to promotional items and helping out folks and helping out friends and being a part of our experience. Once again, you can go to Olive and York and get our first ever jersey. Floppy collar, very 80s. Kaiser Permanente on the front, navy jersey. Your personalization can go either with white letters and numerals, or you can go double blue, Carolina blue, Tar Heel blue, whatever you want to call it. And be like Abby, you can get both. And so that helps out our Soccer for Good campaign here in 2025. You've got Soccer for Good on the shoulder. And I thought that there was Beyond Goals on the other shoulder. So we got to get those squared away. And you can go to our friends at Olive and York, and you can pick those up and be a part of our Soccer for Good campaign there. You go to Grady Baby and Grady Baby Co. Get the Soccer is Just Better in Atlanta gear. And it is the gold embossed Soccer is Just Better in Atlanta, red and black, T-shirt and sweatshirt. Sweatshirt has SDH Network on one cuff, has the Grady Baby logo on the other cuff. What you do when you go through our friends at Grady Baby is you help out middle school soccer programs attached to the Atlanta public school system as a part of our Soccer for Good campaign here in 25. Go to Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. And what you do when you hang out with our friends at Fanatis, you get a lot of cool stuff. You get Te Ise, Nuestra Tele, CDO for the fans. TVV has been added. You also, with all the BNs, you get the tap-ins with Canal 4 and Tigo Sports and CATV down in Central America. They're expanding their looks there. You can go to, you can get all the AFCONs with BN, and I mean like all of the African competitions short of this particular qualifier on all the BNs. You can get all the league play. They've gotten into the Polish league this year. They've gone, Ligue 1 is available, and all the different leagues that are going on. So it's Turkey, Poland, France, bunch of the European leagues, Liga 1 Max Pro, Nuestra Tele, CDO for the fans, TVV, all those things. Let me see if I've missed anybody when it comes to the networks and things that are live. You get paddle. I'm not into paddle. PADEL. It's like, it's like paddle tennis, but there actually is a circuit over in Europe that is PADEL paddle. You get that. All the BNs, GOLTV, English and Spanish. You get to catch up with our friend Nino Torres. And once again, Nino's joining us in a half an hour, and he'll break down everything going on either in South America or in Europe, whether it is league play, CONMEBOL, all the things. But GOLTV in English and Spanish is also a part of it. Te say right now, they are talking about Racing. La actualidad de Arias no convence. So that's where we are. They're in a Rossing discussion right now on the morning show on TIC. So Super Football is what they're breaking down right now on TIC. So you get the paddle circuit, you get all the BNs, you get TIC, Liga 1 Max Pro. You get to catch up with folks like Luis Abram and LGP. You get all the Argentinian League, the Argentine League, the LPF. That's available for you. All the matches there. Luis Abram and Sporting Cristal. BN TIC, GOLTV, TV, all the things. And you also have an in to the CONMEBOL qualifiers and Copa Sudamericana and Copa Libertadores. That's all on Fanatics at fntz.co/soccer down here. Also, don't forget to be a Fanatico. What do you do for $10 a year? Well, what you can do for $10 a year is be a Fanatico and be a part of that process with our friends there. And hang on just a second. Let me get to the Chant app, and I'll try and do it where it's not shining into the monitor for those of you who are catching up with us on the video side of things. And so right there is the Chant, through the Chant app, being a Fanatico, you get a lot of great discounts from a lot of cool places here in the northern half of the state of Georgia. And partners, here we go. Here's the partners that we have right now. $10 a year, you get a lot of cool discounts in a lot of different places. Well, most of them are breweries and such, but we do have a couple of wild cards. Rev Coffee Roasters, welcome. 10% off your order in Smyrna. You go to Rev Coffee Roasters. Brass Tap in Marietta, Moxie Hotel in Midtown, 20% off hotel food and beverage. South Main in Watkinsville, Schoolhouse in Marietta, Atlanta Hard Cider, Marietta, Elixir, Buford and Monroe, Round Trip in Marietta, Social Fox in Norcross, Keys to Flavor Catering in Sugar Hill, 15% off your first catered event by using Keys to Flavor. Fado Midtown, 10% off all your food tabs. O'Sullivan's, $5 select beers, 10% off your food bill, 10% off merch. Lloyd's Soccer, 20% off select Atlanta United gear at the Johns Creek location. Finished Goods and Winder, Slow Pour in Lawrenceville, Outrun in Stone Mountain, Tires Plus in Alpharetta. This is another wild card. $25 off alignment services. This is the Alpharetta location on Old Milton Parkway. $25 off oil changes, $50 off for tires. $25 off alignment, $25 off oil change, $50 off for tires. Wild Leap on Ted Turner Drive, Dad's Garage in Atlanta, Chateau Arenal, 10% off any booking if you want to go to Costa Rica and go to a resort, and Battle and Brew, both Sandy Springs and the Battery. And once again, that's from our friends at all of those joints. And how do you become one? You go here, and if I could type it and get the cursor to behave, group.chant.fan/soccer down here /join. Did I type it correctly? Yes, I did. Wow, it took me a while. There it is. Group.chant.fan/soccer down here /join. And you become a Fanatico, $10 a year with all of those different places that you can get discounts and show your support for everything going on here at SDH. Once again, part of our overarching Soccer for Good campaign. You get to hang out there and be a part of things as a Fanatico as well. And so obviously, that's always a very, very cool thing where we get to help out everybody else and be a part of the growth of everything going on. Oh, great. So now I found out that my starting quarterback in my fantasy league is now gone from questionable to doubtful. Glad I picked up his backup for this weekend. So now I have to decide between Russell Wilson and Mac Jones. So we'll see what the decisions are there as well. Okay. Next 25 minutes or so, we'll go through all the news and let you know what else is going on in and around the world of soccer. Then we'll be joined once again, top of the hour, Nino Torres. In an hour, it'll be Niko Moreno. We'll get you through your Thursday and get you ready for the weekend. We do have early numbers when it comes to the juice boxes and everything that is attached to Major League Soccer for the run-in right now. And it was good that we got Dax to kind of go through and gloss over some of the weekend matchups. But, yeah, the late one, San Diego FC, Minnesota United. San Diego is a big favorite, by the way, at home at a -122. San Diego's coming here next Saturday. Our goal between now and then is to track down Adrian Garcia Marquez and find out about life at the Murph Dragon. find out what it's like on the surf side and the sand side, and find out what it's been like this season there at San Diego FC. And my guess is that if we lock in AGM, it might be more than 20 minutes. So that is going to be our quest for next week with San Diego coming to town. We're going to try and catch up with Adrian Garcia Marquez because he's a very, very busy man. MLS, Liga MX, and all the competitions in between. So that is our quest for next week. And great to have Chris Doran on earlier this week to break down everything Columbus. Like I said, tomorrow we're going to have Danny Higginbotham on for Major League Soccer. We'll have Danny run through some of the matchups. Obviously, we'll talk to him about his matchup with Steve Cangelosi with Charlotte and Messi and friends. We'll get into that. We'll get into the Eastern Conference. Like I said, we'll probably steal a Premier League question or two out of Danny Higginbotham as well. Okay, this morning in Chelsea. And once again, we go to our friend Ben Jacobs for a lot of this stuff. And it was interesting to see this come across, but not necessarily a surprise, where you have Chelsea now have been charged 74 times for breaches of agent regulations under Roman Abramovich. Yes, they're dialing back that much. 74 breaches of agent regulations under Roman Abramovich. Historical charges self-reported by Chelsea during due diligence before Clear Lake officially took charge. Majority of the breaches came from 2010 to 2016. Chelsea opened up their books to the FA. The Premier League is also running a concurrent investigation. The issue predominantly relates to agent payments not being correctly reported on the books. Color me shocked that happened. Chelsea have hired one of the big accountancy firms to analyze the breaches. They do not believe there's been any sporting advantage and will argue no sporting sanction is necessary. Punishments can range from a fine to a settlement to a sporting sanction. Bowley Clearlake, very transparent, according to Jacobs, in alerting the relevant authorities to the breaches. That's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of stuff, man. And I know that we also have to get into the lottery for tickets for the Cup coming to the World next year. But, yeah, so you have all this stuff coming down on Chelsea. And I honestly, legitimately, can't say I'm surprised. Because you want to try and chase after anything and everything going on involving all of the past. All of the past. And so, of course, between 2009 and 2022, once again, this is a 14-year period. But once again, most of this is from the 10-11 year to the 15-16 season. They have until September the 19th to answer. So basically, they drop this hammer today, the FA does, for breaches of the agent regulation rules, and they give you a week to come up with the paperwork. Once again, it's all historical. And so Chelsea comes out with, I thought it was just going to be like a sentence, but it does end up being a statement. And so they're pleased to confirm its engagement with the FA concerning matters self-reported, now reaching a conclusion. So maybe the 8-day period of filing paperwork isn't as insurmountable as we thought. Completed the purchase on May 30, 2022. During a thorough due diligence process prior to completion of the purchase, the ownership group became aware of potentially incomplete financial reporting concerning historical transactions and other potential breaches of FA rules. Immediately upon the completion of the purchase, the club self-reported the matters to all relevant regulators, including the FA. Paragraph. The club has demonstrated unprecedented transparency during this process, including by giving comprehensive access to the club's files and historical data. We will continue working collaboratively with the FA to conclude this matter as swiftly as possible. We wish to place on record our gratitude to the FA for their engagement with the club on this complex case, the focus of which has been on matters that took place over a decade ago, end quote. Once again, Chelsea opened up their books. Charges predominantly relate to agent payments not being correctly reported on the books, including for signings like Eden Hazard, Samuel Eto'o, and Willian. Chelsea's going to wait for the FA ruling before determining their next steps. Bully Clear Lake, once again, transparent in alerting relevant authorities to the breaches, according to Jacobs. Gimme Sports understands there is optimism that no sporting sanction will occur. So because they opened up their books and kind of presented all this to the FA, Chelsea and Bully Clear Lake are kind of like, we're cool, right? So that's kind of where they are right now. Other stuff this morning out of our friends at GMS. Steve Bates. Summer window closed another 4 before any more business. Crunch time for Ruben Amorim. Amorim gets his wish for more firepower on a £200 million spend on Benjamin Sesko, Mateus Cunha, and Brian Mbeumo. First big test this weekend, where it's noisy neighbors, before Chelsea at Old Trafford September 20. If you don't do well against the top, then obviously, everybody's hair is going to be on fire with Ruben Amorim. Was it too much money? Are we close? How close are we? Are we done? And then is that it for Ruben Amorim? I'm sure everybody will be very, very logical in the process. And the scream that you just heard came from our Drew Dickinson. Technical director Jason Wilcox forced into scrambling mode to defuse the Kobe Mainoo loan request as the window entered their final days. That was a direct result of Amorim pitching Kobe Mainoo against Captain Bruno Fernandes for a place in the team in a media briefing. Causes collateral damage that the Red Devils top brass could have done without as they negotiated a tricky end of the summer window. While admiring Amorim's honesty, according to Bates, a growing feeling within Manchester United's corridors of power that the manager has to be more savvy in front of the media. There's no doubt some of Amorim's, quote, tell it as it is public comments are a welcome departure from Premier League colleagues. But on the flip side, sometimes an alarming naivete you'd never even heard from Sir Alex in his days. Amorim's insistence, for instance, that the members of the, quote, bomb squad, those dudes that were told to just go practice off to the side, Rashford, Garnacho, Anthony, and Jadon Sancho would never play for Manchester United again, didn't go well with the brass. Because to Bates's point, it makes you vulnerable, and you have already stated your position when it comes to negotiating their outs. So when you say stuff like that, you're already in a negative position. If you were to say, yes, they're practicing to the side, and we'll integrate them and we'll see how they are on a match by match basis kind of a thing. If you were more neutral in your comments, then when you're trying to get Garnacho, Anthony, Jadon Sancho, and Marcus Rashford out the door, you wouldn't be trying to sit there and just go pennies on the dollar for any kind of a transaction. So the brass up top is probably trying to tell Ruben Amorim, bruh, just kind of be a little easier about it. Don't be so blunt. They would have preferred, according to Bates, more of a conciliatory tone like we saw with Eddie Howe involving Alexander Isak. Bates says Amorim's total inflexibility with his playing philosophy is also frustrating key insiders at Old Trafford. Set to become a bigger issue if he can't get the best out of his expensive new recruits. Never any tactical surprises with Amorim. Would like for him to have a more cunning strategy and tweak his style when they play stronger teams who can brutally expose his 3-4-3. Ange was similar in his my way or the highway approach. His refusal to adapt, according to Bates, is what cost him his job. Manchester United boss is beginning to fear Amorim will never alter his core philosophy, position, or even consider a small diversion when the occasion demands. That's causing anxiety amongst the brass, who want to give Amorim every chance to succeed and in the end, and then stop the managerial merry-go-round at Old Trafford. Fast-track rise of one of Arsenal's teenagers has given Manchester United fans optimism. One of Old Trafford's emerging super kids could be a senior player sooner rather than later. Max Dallman already made his Premier League bow with 2 appearances off the bench this season for Arsenal. Dallman isn't 16 till New Year's Eve. Manchester United have an even younger super talent who's the talk of the academy, and 14-year-old J.J. Gabriel. Dubbed Kid Messi, which is dangerous. Made headlines with a 22-minute hattie for the U18 team against Derby County. He's not 15 until next month. He's considered the next big thing for Manchester United. And they're thinking that the record held by Angel Gomes, 16 years, 263 days back in 2017, that's going to get smashed. So J.J. Gabriel, keep an eye on that. Also, it looks like Nottingham Forest Chief Football Officer Ross Wilson is expected to leave and take on the sporting director gig in Newcastle. And the EFL is considering a 6-team playoff system. Matt Smith at GMS, they're considering adding an eliminator round. Championships promotion sees top 2 go, 3, 4, 5, and 6 go at it. 3 plays 6, 4 plays 5. Winners of those take on each other, and you're the third team that gets promoted into the Premier League. Right now, they're planning a change to the playoff system, according to a report in The Athletic, where it would see 6 teams compete for a place in the Premier League. Initial proposal received wide support from championship clubs, similar format to what is seen in the National League. That's the one below League 2. Team that finishes 5th goes head-to-head with 8. 6 plays 7, single game. Differing to the National League, the winners of the EFL's championships proposed eliminators would then play 2-legged ties against who placed 3rd and 4th. So what you would be doing is going 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 3 and 4 wait around. 5 plays 8, 6 plays 7. Those are one-offs. Winners of those one-offs would then play 3 and 4 in 2-legged finals, and then you keep going, and then the winners of those would be the third team to get promoted from the championship to the Premier League. Preston North End CEO Peter Risdale presented the idea at a recent meeting, well received, as clubs aim to reduce the number of meaningless matches at the end of the season due to the extra places available in the playoffs. Premier League has previously been against the idea in the past due to it potentially damaging the quality of the top tier. This new system would need to be approved by the FA, would add more jeopardy to the competition, and keep an eye on what's going on there. But that's word from Matt Smith this morning out of GMS and over at The Athletic. Question for you. How many of you tried to get tickets or get your name registered for the Cup competition where the whole world is coming to this hemisphere in 2026? Show of hands. From what I understand, it was not a fruitful experience. You had a lot of folks who were trying to log in, and they were having issues logging in. That was the main problem yesterday. Folks were trying to see what's going on and roll from there. So for those of you, Alex registered. You got in. You were one of the few that got in. Congratulations, Alex. Fantastic. Because folks were literally being kicked back to the beginning of the website and everything. How long, Alex, how long did it take you? That would be the big question. How long did it take you to get through all of the dynamic and actually get stuff done? That would be the larger question in all of this. How long did it take? Because folks were getting kicked back. Folks were having problems. It was pretty bad. But if Alex got in, there's hope for the rest of us. Absolutely home for the rest of us. So we'll see how that goes. But it was, let's just say it was an interesting time for folks yesterday as they were trying to get in to get registered. So definitely a bit of a janky experience. And I think that's probably a good word to use, Alex, janky. In the queue for 56 minutes with the repeated login loop. So here's the sequence. Eventually able to get through, repeated login loop, in the queue for 56 minutes, and then after that, you had to log in. I am not surprised. Not really surprised. You know, it's just sometimes some folks can't get out of their own way. Sometimes you just can't get out of your own way. Did you see this from The Guardian? Kim Wilshire in Paris Kylian Mbappe says the football world would disgust him without the passion for the game. The striker will never advise a child of mine to go into football. And he still remains in dispute with PSG a year after leaving. Kylian Mbappe admitted the football world would have disgusted him long ago if he didn't have a passion for playing the game. Long and bitter interview with L'Equipe. Quote, I'm a fatalist about the world of football, but not about life. Life is wonderful. Football is what it is. I like to say that people who go to the stadium are lucky to only come and see a show and not know what's going on behind the scenes. Honestly, if I didn't have this passion, the football world would have disgusted me a long time ago. That's the world we live in. We can't change it. I'll never advise a child of mine to step into the football world. That was to mark a revamp of L'Equipe's magazine after Mbappe scored his 52nd goal in 92 appearances in the win over Iceland, beating Thierry Henry's scoring record. The more money you have, the more problems you have, according to Mbappe. Withdrawn his complaint of harassment against PSG, claiming 55 million euro in alleged unpaid salary and a bonus. PSG claimed Mbappe agreed to waive that when he moved to Real Madrid, having made a counterclaim of 98 million euro. Mbappe, some people don't see that your life has changed. They want to hold on to the image of you as a child when you were with them, but you're not the same person anymore. You have responsibilities, commitments, a job, people to answer to. Of his dispute with PSG, he said he had no wish to harm the club where he made his name. Quote, it's my right, it's employment law. I signed an employment contract. I just wanted to be paid. I have nothing against PSG. I love the club. I have friends there, but this is the only way to get what I'm owed, something I've earned through the sweat of my brow, end quote. In the special edition headlined Kylian Confidential, Mbappe talks of his childhood and career and is seen in family photographs. I often say that people don't know me. A lot of what is said about me is far from the truth. Some people spend their entire careers waiting for recognition or for people to really know who they are. You have to learn to live with that. You waste a lot of energy if you spend your time fighting it. You'll never win. When you look at the great French athletes, they've all been torn apart by public opinion at some point. I think it's a necessary part of the process, and I'm fine with that. Asked if he felt fans expected too much of him, Mbappe said, I've never wanted to accept failure, so I don't mind being criticized for it. I'm very hard on myself, more so than most people, so I'm very comfortable with that. I would reference the video of Luis Enrique trying to teach Kylian Mbappe and remind him about playing defense, in addition to the offensive prowess that he has. I believe that was the last season that Kylian Mbappe was at PSG. Luis Enrique trying to be as incredibly supportive as possible, reminding him that he could be the best in the world, but you got to come back and play defense. Mbappe was, Then Mbappe decides he wants to go to Real Madrid. Point left for observation. Now, also, just let me tour what's going on the papers. We'll let you know what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, all the things. And then Nino Torres and Niko Moreno are set to join us in hour number 2. Andre Onana set for a medical in Turkey, once again before leaving United on loan. On the verge of joining Trabzonspor from Paul Hurst at the Times, who will pay his 120,000 pound a week wages, but won't have the option to buy him after the loan ends, which is weird. Flying to Turkey today, set to travel to Trabzon in the northeast of Turkey via Paris, having stayed in Cameroon for the past couple days after playing in their AFCON qualifying defeat by Cape Verde on Tuesday. Understood United will not receive a loan fee, but they will make a significant saving on his wages, upwards of 120,000 pounds a week. Trabzonspor paying his salary for the entirety of his stay. No option or obligation for the Turkish club, who finished 7th in the league last year, to buy Onana once the loan period ends. Left back Tyrol Malacia is also wanted by a number of Turkish clubs, including Eyüpspor, but it remains to be seen whether he wants to commit himself to a move. Having been deemed surplus to requirements by the United head coach Ruben Amorim, the Turkish transfer window shuts on Friday night. So if there's anybody in Europe that wants to make a move to a Turkish club. Turkish clubs today and tomorrow can still go fishing for players. And once again, we discuss what's going on at Manchester United between the sticks, whether it's Onana or Bayindir. United signed Sene Lamens, 23-year-old keeper from Antwerp, on deadline day for 18.1. Amorim has to decide whether to give the Belgian U21 international his debut in the Manchester derby or stick with Bayindir, who's looked unsteady, according to Hurst, when coming for crosses. Lamens left out of the Belgium squad for the recent World Cup qualifiers because he didn't play at Antwerp's previous 2 matches, as the cash-strapped club didn't want to risk playing him in case he suffered an injury and scuppered the sale. Tom Heaton, 39, is the other senior keeper at United. Amorim will only be looking for an improvement from his players this weekend. Only victory so far came with Burnley, defeated 3-2 with a 97th minute Bruno Fernandes penalty. Benfica will try to sign Bernardo Silva as early as January if João Noronha Lopes wins the race to become the club's next president, according to Paul Hurst. Silva's spoken openly about the idea of ending his career at Benfica. Anticipated that the Manchester City captain would consider a return to his boyhood club when his contract expires in June. Lopes, however, has pledged to try to bring the 31-year-old back to the Lisbon club in the next transfer window, although getting him away from Pep Guardiola will be difficult given the armband this year. Already prepared a contract for Silva, will submit it officially to his reps on New Year's Day, when he's allowed to discuss a free to a foreign club since the City deal enters the final 6 months. If he accepts it immediately, Benfica would have to pay a transfer fee to sign Silva in January. Highly unlikely City would let him go. Otherwise, he's able to join him on a free July 1. Came through Benfica's youth academy, but despite being regarded as one of the best young players in Portugal, he only had 3 subs for the first team, wasn't rated highly by the manager at the time, Jorge Jesus, who tried to play him at left back. Lopes is a 59-year-old businessman, one of 6 people trying to vie for the presidency at Benfica, where elections will take place next month. What to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. Bunch of college soccer today. Canadian Premier League is the only thing on. Valor and Forge, 8 o'clock in the CPL, and that is on FS2. College soccer today, not a lot. 3, 6, 9, 11 matchups. A couple to keep an eye on here locally. Presbyterian and Georgia Southern is at 7. All of these, by the way, are on the plus. You've got Ohio. You've got some Ohio Valley and Missouri Valley, and some Midwestern stuff going on. You've got some Big West as well. You have Mercer on their road trip to the Mountain Time Zone, taking on Air Force at 9 o'clock. You've also got Cal State Fullerton, Loyola Marymount, Sacramento State Pacific, San Francisco Cal Poly. Those are at 10. This is hardcore stuff, by the way. Western Illinois UIC, Loyola Chicago, and SIU Edwardsville are at 8. 4 o'clock, Caldwell and Quinnipiac. I don't know who Caldwell is. Jacksonville UCF, Presbyterian and Southern, Sacred Heart, Seton Hall, FDU, and St. John's. Those are all at 7 o'clock. Rhode Island and Hartford Athletic have reached the Jägermeister Cup final. Hartford beat Greenville 3-1. Marlon Hairston, you might remember him. Michigan Galena, who's been more USL Championship but has appeared for the Union and LAFC. So the lone USL League One team made the knockout stage. Joe Farrell, 10 seasons in the USL, had the scoring for Hartford as well. Hartford 9-1-4 in all comps since late June to get into playoff contention in USL Championship, reached the Jägermeister final. And they will play Sacramento Republic. Goalless after 90, goalless heading into PKs. Quails were perfect. Lopez, Cicerone, Michel Benitez. Jared Mazzola made 3 saves in regulation, 1 in the shootout. Republic has allowed just 1 goal in 6 Jägermeister Cup matches. 2 knockout stage wins came in shootouts that followed scoreless draws. The host decided on a draw this morning. So let's see who's hosting. So let's see who gets to host, since it was on apparently Morning Footy who was going to be hosting, and that was named a half hour ago. Hopefully. Do we have a name? Do we have a name, people? Hartford Athletic. Hello. Let's see. Does Hartford Athletic have a say in this? October 4th in Sacramento at Heart Health, Hartford, Sacramento Republic. That is your matchup for the Jägermeister Cup final. Out of all sections of the USL, those are the last two remaining. Hartford Athletic, Sacramento Republic, October 4th, Jägermeister Cup final. Thanks to our friends at Hartford Athletic for posting it to their Twitters. So that's the rundown with Jägermeister Cup. So that is what's going on. So World Cup tickets and sales. Once again, first phase was yesterday. Visa card holders with a FIFA ID, you can get in the pre-sale draw. Entry period runs till 11 o'clock Eastern time on the 19th. So you and Chelsea have to come up with your decisions on the same day. Rules for the sale have been published. 1 entry per person, 1 per household. On the 29th, fans whose names are drawn beginning news and instructions on purchasing tickets. October 1. 4 tickets per person per match, no more than 40 purchased. 1 million tickets available to purchase during pre-sale. Athletic reported 8.5 million fans had registered for a FIFA ID. Another registration window, October 27 through 31. Windows for draw winners notified, then purchase tickets. Third phase takes place after the finals draw, December 5th in D.C. Then the matchups for the group games. Chance to buy any remaining inventory, first come, first serve basis for the opener on June 12. 6.5 million tickets available for the 104 matches. Not all sold to the public, understandably so, because each team gets an allotment from their federations, distribution to supporters and commercial partners, sold as hospitality packages. Starting ticket prices start at $60 for the group stage to $6,710 for a ticket to the World Cup final at the Meadowlands, July 19th. Cat 1 to Cat 4, variable pricing. I love it, variable pricing. It's, FIFA will use variable pricing. That's the wording from Soccer America. Just call it what it is. It's dynamic pricing. Garnering additional revenue instead of letting it go to resellers. They're going to launch their own ticket resale platform without a cap on prices and tickets sold in the U.S. Canada, Mexican law has resale restrictions. So that is getting in the door when it comes to anything and everything going on. 4-card is the USL version of the Gummy Bear Cup. It might, because if it's open, if the Open Cup is the Open Cup, it's like the FA Cup, then I guess the Jägermeister would be the version of the Gummy Bear. So that would be the way to lay it all out there. All right, past 10 o'clock in the Eastern time zone. It is hour number 2 on a Thursday, which means we have to think, because that's what Thursday thoughts are all about. We got to talk about Copa Sudamericana. We have to talk about prepared statements being read by groups of individuals. We have to talk about CONMEBOL. We got to talk about what happened with Venezuela giving up 6 on the last night. And for that, we go to Lima, Peru, and catch up with our buddy Nino Torres from GOLTV. Yellow. What is up, my brother?
Yellow. Soccer down here, fans. Nino Torres with you on this gorgeous morning. Welcome, everybody, to the trip around the world here on Soccer Down Here with Johnny, Nelson, and I. Thank you.
Yes. So we are fully loaded. Sir, would you like to just go ahead and start with CONMEBOL and have that take up most of the segment, which I figure it probably will for one way or the other?
Heck yeah. I'm ready, bro. I'm ready because you know what I got this morning for breakfast. I got a breakfast of champions, man. I got a chocolate ganache sandwich, man.
Wow. See, now, all right. Now you're kind of in the same boat that I was, because usually for me, it's the heavy fuel. You know that the Mountain Dew is here.
Yeah.
But after my breakfast of the mini cinnamon rolls, I went here.
Oh my.
That's how hardcore I was thinking for breakfast this morning. So I broke out the Reese's peanut butter cups because I figured I had to be all kinds of fueled up knowing you were walking in the door.
Brother, man, I gotta tell you, I'm so pumped today. Jesus, World Cup qualifiers. It's just another chapter in CONMEBOL that proves, right, that we are the toughest conference in the planet,
Mm.
the toughest conference in the planet, right? And firsthand, he got a taste of that. My dear friend Carlito Ancelotti going to El Alto, and what is this? A 4-3? It's 12,000. I think it's 12,000 feet
Mm-hmm.
above the sea level, right? He felt it. He felt it. All the ball boys disappearing, the soccer balls from the stadium.
Uh-huh.
they were
Uh-huh.
they're pinching the balls. They were throwing balls at the uh, at the pitch where when Brazil was attacking and they got a penalty. It was an non-existent penalty, and
Ooh.
everything, all the condiments to make a last dance in CONMEBOL, an incredible edition, in incredible and wild was in Maturin. I was because all the games were at the same time. And I was watching, of course, my beloved Peru, and then we're gonna talk about Peru in a second. But
Yeah, we are.
yeah, me, and then I was at the same time Venezuela. Okay, one goal Venezuela. All right, let me check it out. And then Colombia, and then Venezuela, and then Colombia, and then Colombia. They just took away and never looked back. They just destroyed in pieces. They shattered all the dreams of Venezuela going to the first ever World Cup. And it's how do I explain this? You gotta have it in you. You gotta have it in you, okay? And with all respect to my dear Venezuelan friends, I've got lots of friends from Venezuela. My boy Roger Vivas in Miami, I send you a big hug to you, brother. And it's they're not wired that way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're not wired that way to pull off these epic moments, epic games. The stadium was full, and they choked. They just choked. It was too much for them. They couldn't handle the opponent. They couldn't handle the pressure, and of course they were playing with an ear in El Alto because they knew that Bolivia was winning at halftime, and that's because everything was even up until halftime, Johnny, and then because they were so focused on, what if Bolivia, what if nothing, brother? You got to take care of business at home.
Mm-hmm.
You got to beat Colombia. Even with the draw, you were in.
Mm-hmm.
You were in with the draw.
Mm-hmm.
And then let it slip.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, that's the difference between the big teams and the teams from this side of the continent, including Chile, Peru. I mean, you got to take out Ecuador and Colombia because they're doing great. But Venezuela, Peru, Chile, and Bolivia are in a different championship. It's a different league. It's the B league of CONMEBOL. And as much as it hurts, I gotta accept it. That we're in the B league, but we got the talent, brother. We got the talent. We got the players. It's just improved. There's also that big issue. There's a big issue in the Peruvian national team now, that the group of players that took us to the World Cup in 2018, they feel entitled to do things. They feel entitled to decide who's join our group. You're on the loop or you're not in the loop. They had the courage. They got the you know what? At the end of the game in it was in Uruguay. No, yeah, in Uruguay. Renato Tapia, one of the captains, one of the leaders. I hate that guy. I'm sorry. I mean, hate is not. Don't say hate. This is not a good word. I don't like that guy. I despise this guy. He went and talked to the president of the Peruvian Soccer Federation. Hey, president, you know what? I think this coach is the right coach for us. All right? Can you make things happen that he can stay? I was like, no, brother, you don't decide who stays, who leaves. All right, you don't decide anything. You decide to play. That's the only thing that you gotta decide on the pitch. You gotta make decisions on the pitch, right? Off the pitch decisions, leave it for the people, for the executives, for the president, for the coaches, for everybody. But they because and this is the end, man. This is the end of an era in Peru, Johnny. This is the end of an era. Hopefully, the next coach that comes in, you know, understands what happens here with this group. That all this entitlement and all because we went to the World Cup, you didn't went to the World Cup. I mean, come on, brother. It's over. That was 8 years ago. 8 years ago. There's a bunch of players, 35, 33, 34, 38 years old. You're not going to play in the next World Cup qualifiers. You're not going to play in there. I don't want you there. I don't want to see you there. Okay, yeah, and thank God that the Jan Ferrari, the former president of Universitario Deportes, he is now the technical director of the Peruvian Soccer Federation. Okay, and so because I don't know if it was because of that, but the next day, no, the same day, in the same day that the game against Paraguay, the decision was made already. Oscar Ibanez is no longer. This is your last game, brother. Thank you for because you were an interim coach and you knew that your contract was going to end at the end of the World Cup qualifiers, and this is it. Good night and good luck. And he already is is in Argentina. I don't know where he at now, John Ferrari, but he's looking for a coach right now. He took a flight, and then nobody knows where he went. He took a flight and he's out of the country in search of the new coach for the Peruvian national team. And I trust this guy, and I trust that he you know, this guy has some big cojones, brother, and he's gonna make decisions that nobody else wanna make, man.
Well, and did I not see also that La Vinotinto decided that their coach was no longer going to be on the touchline too? Did they not let him go? In Venezuela? Did I see that?
I didn't see that one. Did you see it? I didn't see it yesterday. But
hang on.
Keep me posted on that one because I didn't see that one.
Hang on.
But if they did, I don't think it's a mistake. I think it's a mistake.
Yeah.
I think so because he did a lot of good things for Venezuela. They won for the first time. They got points for the first time against Uruguay, against Argentina, against Brazil in the World Cup qualifiers. They made Maturin being respected. It's like not a given points when you go into Venezuela. He made Venezuela stronger. He made, but he cannot play for them. All right, once in the last chance, in the last dance, you gotta shine, brother. I'll give you all the weapons that you need. I'll give you anything you need, all the resources. But you just go out there and fight your battle. I can't fight your battles for you. You know.
Okay. All right, because I thought I saw an official release somewhere. So.
I didn't see anything, Johnny, but if you did, maybe.
That's why I'm sitting here trying to chase after it real quick. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I thought I saw a shiny full screen, and everybody was like, Venezuela sucks Fernando Batista after failing to qualify for the 2026 World Cup. Federico Leiva, CNN in Espanol was where it came from. So that was So after not
classic. That's a classic in South America, bro. It's a classic. You know, you failed and you're out the next day.
Yeah.
You know, the next day you're out. They don't trust. They don't trust the process. They don't trust the process. I'm saying not they. I'm saying we because I'm in the same boat here too. But we just don't trust the process. I mean, the crazy part is that we were complaining about having 3 coaches in this process, right? And that's one of the reasons why we didn't go. No, Paraguay got 3 coaches too. Bolivia got 3 coaches too in the qualifiers. And the one is through, and the other one is in the playoffs. So what are you talking about? Don't blame on the 3 getting 3 coaches. Is what got us wrong. No. There's way more than that, man. There's way more than that. They're starting with this group of players that I mentioned, and there's this belief among the media saying that we don't have the players to go to a World Cup. That's an absolute lie, brother. That's an absolute lie. There's several players that can play in the national team with the right coach, with the right system, with the right person in charge. I'm telling you, we're going. But this is they don't want to let go the Paulo Guerrero, Cueva, all these guys that took us. They are in the conversation. He's 43 years old. Johnny, this is the thing. With our critical part here, the most critical issue that we have is the striker position, right? And I know, and Alex Valera, not because he's for Universitario, okay? But he is the best striker that we have. But he has an issue with the group of players in the national team. He's not going. He doesn't want to go to the national team because it's a toxic atmosphere. It is toxic, okay? And they're talking about, there's not another number 9, there's not another center forward that we can call. So this is from multiple media outlets, Johnny. They want Paulo Guerrero at 43 years old lead the way for the World Cup qualifiers, for the next World Cup qualifiers at 43. Come on, brother. Come
on. Going to other sources, Al Jazeera. Venezuela sacked their national football coach Fernando Batista a day after the team's FIFA World Cup qualification dream ended following an intervention by the country's president. News of Argentinian Batista's sacking on Wednesday night alongside his entire backroom staff came after President Nicolas Maduro called for a restructuring of the technical staff. Yesterday, we suffered a painful defeat. All of Venezuela demands a restructuring of the technical staff of the Vino Tinto, a reorganization of the strategy, of the doctrine, and of the line of combat and hard work. So Nicolas Maduro says, fix it. And so they're like, okay. So I guess,
he's going to be the next coach for La Vino Tinto. He might step in there.
I ain't putting nothing past nobody, brother. The other thing that I wanted to get into, and we kind of talked about it a little bit, where everyone on the Independiente was sitting in a room, and they had statements. They literally had statements that they were supposed to read, and they read it into the camera, and like one of the players was kind of smirking the entire time.
Yeah.
But for Independiente to come forward and say what they said, you have it listed as Independiente tantrum.
Yeah, but not because of that document that the players read. No, I understand their point, and they wanted to play, all right, but unfortunately for you guys, you're paying the price. The players are paying the price for this. Because, they had absolutely no saying on this matter. Zero responsibility on this matter. And but they were representing their team, representing their country. But I feel sorry for them, right? I feel sorry for them. I understand the point, right? We're gonna express ourselves how we feel about this. We wanted to play. We wanted to solve issues on the pitch. But when your front office, all right, when the people that organizes your games, when the people that is in charge of the security of thousands of people is not doing their job, they're not doing their job. You're gonna be penalized. You're gonna be penalized. Okay, and the Solomon is Solomonic, is that right? Did you say it like that? Solomonic decision. What's Ray Solomon, the King Solomon?
It'd be a Solomonic decision.
Yeah, Solomonic decision would have been both teams being eliminated from the competition.
It would have.
Yeah. That would have been. But it still is a business, right? And so it's you can't go that Solomonic was you're gonna lose money. So it doesn't work that way. Let's be real here. The people, this is an organization, it's a company, this CONMEBOL. But that's not what I'm saying. The tantrum. I'm saying the tantrum because Independiente, after the decision, they went ahead and published a document saying, you know what, all those trophies that you have in Asunción, I want it back. I want my teddy bear back.
Wow,
Johnny, because you broke up with me. Give me my teddy bear back. Give me my letters. No. What is this? Ridiculous that they're really Independiente. They embarrassed themselves with this, man. How in the world you gonna go with that? This is a 5-year-old child tantrum. Who's the president of this club? Are you kidding me?
Mhm.
How on earth you gonna think about that and think that that's gonna do anything good for your team? I mean, is it gonna help the cause? No, it's not gonna help the cause. It's gonna help you down the line for further decisions? No, it won't. Do you solve the issue with the security at your stadium? No. Instead of saying this, guys, you know what? We're gonna take care of security in a very serious manner now. From now on, we're gonna be the leaders in the continent about security at the stadiums. This is my commitment. I'm just saying. I'm just talking out loud here,
Mhm.
thinking out loud.
Yeah.
But I think that would have been so much better. You know what? We're gonna accept our responsibility. We are gonna accept this, and we're gonna make Independiente back stronger and bigger than ever. That's what we're gonna do. That's our commitment. No, they went wrong in the worst possible way.
And we get to kind of keep an eye on it. Once again, Universidad's going to have to play 7 games behind closed doors, pay a fine, $270,000. You've got Argentine club has to pay a $250,000 fine. If you're Independiente, CONMEBOL once again disqualified them from the Sudamericana. And so that's where we are. Obviously, we'll keep an eye on all of that. Okay.
And Johnny, to answer that question from a four-card Hammond, it says that FIFA get involved since politics involved. Well, technically, that's not him. He didn't do it. He's just they can express themselves. They can say whatever they want, but not because of Maduro said it. That's why they sacked the coach. No, it doesn't work like that. He can say whatever he wants. He's a clown, but it doesn't work like that. There's not a direct involvement from government in the decision. So.
Yeah,
that.
Basically, it's like you're like your number one fan, basically sitting there saying you got to do, and your number one fan just happens to be the president of the country. Let's see. So, sticking in South America, Peñarol and the soccer drama in Uruguay. What's going on with Peñarol?
I was calling the game last night, Copa Uruguay, the round of 16. They were playing Liverpool, and it was a fantastic game, at the Centenario. It was 1-1. It was 1-1 until the minute 90. They gave 4 minutes of injury time, right? 4 minutes of injury time.
Sure, they did.
And minute 93 and a half, Peñarol comes up and scores the goal winner to go through the next round in the Copa Uruguay. But the thing here is that Johnny, I watch many tournaments. I'm a soccer junkie. I watch everything, right? And I call these games, and I call Liga Portugal, Peru, Ecuador, all the leagues. And I've seen all the leagues. I follow the Premier League, the Serie A, everything. I don't recall any other league in the planet that has more late goal winners than the Liga Uruguaya. It's just, Johnny, that's why I said the magic.
Why do you think that is?
Because of the Garra Uruguaya.
Okay.
The Garra. That's what I call it. They have the heart of, they're lion hearts. I don't know how they breed them, bro. They breed differently. These Uruguayans are breed differently. You gotta make sure if you're gonna fight with them, you gotta make sure that they're dead. Because if they got up, they will beat you. And that's their mantra, and that's where it comes from. It's from that 1950, the Maracanazo. They won the World Cup against 200,000 people, and there's this legendary quote from Abdullah Varela, the captain of that epic team that won the World Cup in Brazil in 1950. The people outside doesn't count. We count. We're the only ones that matter, because he said that to his players. They were walking into the Maracanã, 200,000 people, and don't care. I don't care about the rest. I care about you guys, right? And they boom, got and destroyed that good team. I mean, Brazil was an absolutely massive goal scoring machine in that 1950 World Cup. It's Uruguay, baby. It's La Celeste. La Celeste. That's why they have 4 stars.
Speaking of Liverpool, Montevideo, and their new home.
You know what? Is speaking of Uruguay, Liverpool, they playing. Do me a favor, Johnny. When I'm talking, I want you to Google the Belvedere Stadium. Belvedere, right?
Okay.
To take a look at the picture to see what I'm talking about.
Got it.
Belvedere Stadium in Montevideo. They have this stadium, right, that was built in August 15 of 1910.
Wow.
1910. And they have a legend on the wall that says this is where Uruguayan soccer was born, right? August 15 of 1910. And it's tiny, small.
Yes.
It's like it's you see it. I've seen the pictures, right?
Wow. Yeah.
And I was like, and they won the championship there. They beat Peñarol there in the finals in 2023 to get the first ever championship, national championship for Liverpool. But then they sold Luciano Rodriguez. They sold Luciano Rodriguez to Bahia. Okay, they got 11 mil for him. Okay, wow. And Bahia, but they got the deal that they will get a commission for the future transfers.
Yeah.
Of Luciano Rodriguez. So this year, Bahia sold Luciano Rodriguez to Saudi Arabia for 22 mil.
Okay, so the sell on, yeah, you get that.
All right, so we got big money here, brother. We made a fantastic deal. So give it a take. They got, I don't know how much they have for that. It's like, I think, I don't know. I'm throwing a number. I think 5 mil. Put it 7 mil.
There you go.
Total for the on top of the 11 that we already got for the first time, right? So they decided to go ahead and build a new stadium.
Oh wow!
At the Belvedere, it's gonna be, you know what? It kind of looks like the Lord.com field in Columbus.
Okay,
kind of like that shape. They got the square, you know, all the stands are covered. They got a roof, and it's gonna fit 20,000 people. They're gonna start the demolition of the Belvedere in January. It's gonna take like 18 months, and at a total cost of $20 million to get a brand spanking new stadium at the Belvedere. They can. I don't know what they're gonna do with that wall that says this is where Uruguayan soccer was born, but I think I will take that wall up. I don't know, frame it or something. I don't know, man.
Or are they going to build the new Belvedere on the same site?
Yeah, on the same site.
Well, then what you do is you take that wall, you preserve it, and you build it into the new setup. It's like a part of a, like when you make an addition to a new house, and you keep the old, you keep some of the old framework or something. That's what I would do. I would encase it. I'd make sure that it stays where it is. That it's shiny and everything, newly painted or what have you. Keep that, but keep that as a part of the greater picture when you renovate.
That'll be awesome. That'll be awesome. I don't know if they're gonna. I think they.
That would make too much sense. I think.
Yeah, way too much. Way too much. I think it'll be a little bit too much for our construction workers in Uruguay. I don't know. But I'm happy for them, because every time that I call games in at that stadium, I was like, really, can you do something better about this, brother? Can you build something else?
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I was looking at the pictures when you were telling me about it, and I'm like, this is a cool old barn.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it was built in 1909, but it's a cool old barn for being 116 years old. I mean, I get it, but yeah,
Not bad, right?
But if you want to get into the 21st century, then you have an opportunity to do it because of a sell-on clause. Go ahead and renovate. I get it, but it looks like it's crammed into a neighborhood. It's going to be interesting to see. They're going to have to build up because they can't build out. You're going to have to build up.
Yeah. They're going to do that. So
that's what you're staring at with the Belvedere. Last topic on the board: CR7 and his band of brothers. What's going on there?
That's where Nino Damos comes in again.
Here we go.
Nino Damos comes in here. I watched all the not all of them, the only two games that they played, but I've been watching, I've been following closely this band of brothers of Portugal, and it seems like they found their groove. It seems that they're they're not working for Ronaldo, but they're working with Ronaldo in the 11.
Or
Right? They're
or
not.
is it the other way around where Ronaldo is finally working with the other 10?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can put it that way too.
I mean,
You can put it that
because
way too.
because I mean, if you're working with Ronaldo, that to me, traditionally I've always thought of it working for Ronaldo with Portugal. It's like he's the front man, and you got to make sure that he gets his guitar solo and everything is there. And if he wants to go off on a riff and go for 10 minutes and then he might come back and you finish the song, you got to feed Ronaldo. You got to just keep the beat and make sure that Ronaldo is happy. Is it the other way around now where he's 40 and everybody for Portugal is like, okay, so he's going to come back and he's going to be a part of the band? Is that how this is now?
I think it's a combination of both. I think that both sides understood finally what it takes. If they want to win the World Cup, they're gonna work together as a unit, and I think they finally clicked. They finally clicked.
Only took him to the age of 40 for it to finally click.
Right, right. No, but it's not just the age of 40 for Ronaldo. It's just the right set of players. No, they before they were too young, and now they evolved. Now you got Vitinha winning the Champions League. You got several players. You got Joao Cancelo. You got all the elements. You got the youth. You got the experience. You got the firepower. You got a great defense. You got a great goalie. All the pieces are putting together. And I'm going to say it again. I know I think I said it before, but I'm going to say it again. Cristiano Ronaldo will get his World Cup trophy, and the two kings are going to walk away. That's how we're going to end the era of Cristiano Messi. This is how the era of Cristiano Messi is going to end. With Cristiano lifting the World Cup, and they both walk away as the two most marvelous kings that ever played the game, man.
Wow. Okay. What are you calling this weekend?
What do we have? Let me see, man. Let me see. I got my thingy here. There we go. We got tomorrow. Jeez, I forgot about tomorrow. I thought I started Saturday. We got Porto and Benfica, brother. We got Benfica Santa Clara on Friday. We got Porto on Saturday. We got Liga Uno on Saturday too. Sport Boys.
Okay.
And we got Braga and my Gilistas, my Gil Vicente team in Portugal. And we close in Sunday with man, we got a lot of games, man. Danubio and Cerro, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday. Sunday night soccer on GOLTV with Nino Torres for you.
Yes, Porto right now 12 points after the first 4 matches. Famalicão has gotten ahead of Sporting by a point. They haven't given up a goal yet this year.
And they're playing Sporting.
And Sporting right now is number 3 with the loss on the board at 9 points. They have a better goal difference than Benfica, Moreirense. Braga's at 8. Gil Vicente is at 7, and that is the top of.
And they got the striker on fire who scored 4 goals against Venezuela. Luchito Suarez is coming back to Portugal, absolutely fully loaded, baby.
Oh boy! As always, my friend, it's great to catch up with you and take the tour and find out what's going on at GOLTV. As always, when Nino Damas comes, we all must listen. We file it away. We sit there and we wait, and we wait to see if Nino Damas is. Oh, we busted out the lid. There it is. Yeah, see, Nino Damas, he puts the envelope to the head, and he's ready to rock and roll. And so when you have GOLTV, you go to Fanatis, you go to GOLTV, you catch up with our buddy Nino. You have conversations with Nino during the match itself and find out what's going on. Love you very much, my friend, and we will catch up with you soon. We'll be watching, we'll be listening, and we expect to be fully loaded again next week as Nino Damas returns.
Thank you, Johnny. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
There goes Nino. And Nino Damas is predicting, and we have to save the tape. Nino Damas predicting Portugal wins in this hemisphere. The World Championship where everybody's chasing a cup in 2026. He is saying, Nino Damas saith, quote, Nino Damas saith, quote, Portugal gets the cup in 2026 that the entire world is chasing. And then both Cristiano Ronaldo and Leo Messi go off into the sunset simultaneously. I can see the artwork now. They're just wandering off into the sunset. That's a long road, meadows off to the side, long road right down the middle. Sun kind of at an odd angle, maybe about 45 degrees. As you see it setting, maybe it's already set behind the meadow that Nino Damas has in his brain. Messi and Ronaldo going down that road, chasing the sun into the sunset. Peace out, Boy Scout, on an international basis. I think Messi hangs around and he gets the new barn for Messi and friends for the Herons. I think he comes back for another MLS season. And so he comes back for another MLS season. Cristiano Ronaldo continues in Saudi Arabia. They continue doing their thing. And international competition, as they chase the international sunset, Nino Damas is saying Portugal, Argentina's Messi, and Cristiano Ronaldo's Portugal. That's it for an international stage as they chase the sunset, as they chase after the cup that the entire world wants in 2026. Get GOLTV. You can get it at Fanati's, fntz.co/soccer down here. You go to GOLTV. It's one of the options. Let me see what they're actually broadcasting right this very second. GOLTV in English right now is broadcasting people who are cheering they're doing something having to do with Spurs winning the Europa League and the coach that is no longer their coach wandering on the field. So basically it is a celebration of Tottenham Hotspur from last year and Manchester United. So it looks like they're doing some kind of Premier League programming. So we're seeing what's going on early right now. GOLTV. GOLTV, English and Spanish, a part of what you can get at Fanati's. Right now it is TIC, Liga 1 Max, Liga 1 Max Pro, BN en Español. You get all the BNs, TIC, TVV, and you get to watch the premier paddle circuit in Paris. And there's actually 2 channels for paddle tennis, PADEL, right now, going on Fanati's, fntz.co/soccer down here. It's always great to catch up with our buddy Nino Torres because we get to South America. It's a place that we don't necessarily get to discover a lot in. On the website, as a promo, we are blessed to be adding Gilmar Machado to our writing stacks. And so Gilmar is going to be helping us out to understand the Brazilian game and the economics of sport in Brazil, because as we have with our friend Jason Stevens in England, the conversations that we have early in the week with him, Gilmar's keeping an eye on what's going on in Brazil, and his first article is going to be a CONMEBOL recap that's going to be up today. Articles coming up in the future. He wants to publish more about Brazilian and South American soccer, and he's going to do just that. He's going to have another article about the quarterfinals of the Copa do Brasil. Later this month, he's going to write about the history of competitions that exist in Brazil, and he also is going to be breaking down the creation of a financial fair play model for Brazilian soccer. So we're adding Gilmar Machado to our writing stacks, and he's going to be coming up. His first article is posted today. He writes, we post, you read, and we all become educated about everything going on in the game in South America, Brazil specifically, but about South America and South American soccer. So we're adding Gilmar Machado to our stacks at soccerdownhere.net. And we get to find out what's going on in Gilmar's mind as he continues to educate us about what's going on there in the written form in South America. Once again, getting you ready for the final half hour. And it is catching up with our buddy Nino Torres and what is going on with everybody there with Sounder at Heart and Pulso Sports, where it is 7:39 in the morning. And we're going from Lima, Peru, to the outskirts of the Palouse in Seattle. And our buddy Niko Moreno from Sounder at Heart. How are you, my brother?
Hey, what's going on, John, SDH family? I was trying to figure out my lighting, but I couldn't, so we just went rogue on it.
You went natural lighting this morning.
somewhat. I'm still trying to figure it out, but lights are here, which is great. I just definitely got to figure out the dimming because I looked like Gasper there for a second, so I just took them all off. We went no lights, just regular daylight, but we're here.
Yeah,
we're here, John. Yeah. Excited to talk to you about what's coming up in MLS, about the Sounders, whatever you want to talk about, John. I am ready for you.
You've been fired up about what happened at the end of Leagues Cup, and it has been a consistent topic this week with all of our guests that I brought in. I've wanted to get their feedback on it. Had Dax Mccarty on this morning. We've had
Ooh,
Chris
look at
Dorn.
you.
We had Chris Dorn on, the voice of Columbus Crew, to talk about it. We've had all of our local folks come by, and it has been a topic. And at the end of it all, in addition to the 6 that Luis Suarez got, the headline was that Major League Soccer came in, gave him another 3, didn't touch anybody else on either side for any additional punishments that came down. How, outside of, I know that we'll get into your personal thoughts in this, what has been the reception by the Seattle soccer community about what happened additionally to Luis Suarez? I guess take the 6. What's been the response there? And then the additional 3 by Major League Soccer. What have Seattle fans and followers thought about that specifically?
That is not good enough. That's been the overall consensus on everything that happened that day. There have been all kinds of opinions and suggestions about what should have been done, whether it was, and it's gone from as far as banning him for the rest of the year, talking about Luis Suarez, all the way to like Gene should press charges for assault. I mean, there's been like a variety of opinions when it comes to this topic, and deservedly so, right? I mean, whenever a almost self-proclaimed villain like Luis Suarez does something like this, he exposes himself to all kinds of gambit of criticism, and that's the reason why the overall thought process, and if I was to put the comments here in the Seattle community in an average, I would tell you that the common denominator is that what MLS decided upon it being and that includes Leagues Cup, right? I mean, both that is just not good enough. Both you and I know that the Leagues Cup suspension might as well just be not really there, because for Luis Suarez to be in that Leagues Cup next year, or if he really cares about being in Leagues Cup, that's not really something that is worrying him right now. What worries him right now is obviously the monetary penalty, and if he was to be a player that would not be able to help out his team in MLS play. So that's what's relevant. That's where this disciplinary action should have gone, and he didn't, and that's why the people here in Seattle are not satisfied with it.
Extra 3-match ban, and when I was talking with Dax earlier this morning, I was saying, what this kind of does is it gives him and his 38-year-old knees a couple of matches off, but you had to get it past the rematch. You had to get it past the match at the Erector set coming up, because you and I both know that if he was going to be in that match, if there was going to be a point where, if you brought up somebody magically from Tacoma Defiance, we've seen it in the National Hockey League a lot, where, Kraken get somebody mad, they'll bring up somebody and they'll sit there and it's like, all right, that's your assignment for today. And if you get a yellow fine, you get a red fine, but there was going to be a receipt. I figured in some form there was going to be a receipt by Seattle if the opportunity presented itself at the Erector set when Seattle goes and plays Messi and Friends coming up in a bit. You had to get past that date. You gave him 3, and then that was it. And what has gotten me this entire time is nothing on Busquets, nothing on Aviles, nothing on Chelo Weigand, nothing on Jackson Reagan, nothing on Jay Bell. I mean, just to even it out. I mean, just literally there were like as many as 8 dudes that could have had something happen. And it was just by MLS's standards. It was just Luis Suarez gets a 3 and everybody else is there. So that was what kind of raised the people's eyebrow with me, is that it was just him for 3 and that's it. But you did get past the rematch that was going to happen. You had to do that.
I don't care about the rematch, John. I don't care. Mm-hmm. I get that that's what you want, what should be done. And the fact that Obed Vargas or whoever's in that midfield is going to be going against a Sergio Busquets that deliberately punched another player. That's not good enough for me in terms of optics, in terms of what the league stands for. I stay disappointed, and I stay on the thought process that Inter Miami should have done more, and just copy and paste in a vague statement about how you don't condone or you're not okay with how things happened, and how there was almost excuses within that statement, to be quite frank, but you did nothing beyond that. So that alone just rubs me the wrong way about this whole thing. But when I say I don't care about the rematch, is because look, this is just another league game, and yes, you're right. Maybe tensions run high, and regardless of, Suarez should have not played that game, and neither should Busquets, to be quite frank. But what really just doesn't sit right with me is the lack of consistency, right? It feels like Leagues Cup said, look, this is the sanctions to the players that we thought deserve a sanction. Sanctions between the scope of what we saw in the end of that game. So we're not okay with it. These are the sanctions, right? These are the suspensions. These are the players. You're done. And then MLS said, oh, well, look, that happens to be what Leagues Cup thought was right at the edge of what happens in a soccer game, right? The brawls, the pulling, the swinging of the arms, the punching, if you will, as well. And then obviously Luis Suarez, he went beyond that, right? That's what it feels like MLS said. We need to give him 3 more games because Luis Suarez went beyond anything that you should ever do in a soccer field, and is violent, is disgusting. So we're going to give him 3 more. So are we condoning the rest of the behaviors? It's okay to throw a punch regardless of how soft he might have been or not. It struck the face of a player, so is that okay? Is that not good enough for additional games? And then you take Linehart's credentials for the rest of the season, so ultimately you're suspending him through 2025, and then no one else is he being made the example? Is he the guy that we're really going after? I mean, just the inconsistencies by MLS are just appalling. There was literally no consistency. Busquets should absolutely have been given a couple of games at the very least, and he didn't, because the reality is, John, that you don't want to ruffle Messi's feathers. And if we were talking about Jose Martinez from San Jose spitting at somebody and Christian Naranjo being a guy that swung at somebody, I guarantee you that the league would have made an example out of both of those guys, because they don't represent what Miami represents in the money aspect, because Messi is still the cash cow, and because you need to be careful on how much you reprehend him. So that's the reality of it all.
Now the question that I have, so for those of us who don't follow Seattle as much as you and everyone in the Pacific Northwest, when we got the release from Major League Soccer, you end up with the extra 3 for Luis Suarez. Then you end up with the Steven Lenhart situation. For those that don't know, what does Steven Lenhart do with Seattle? What is his job title, and what is his job on a day-to-day basis?
Job title is not necessarily quite there, or it doesn't seem like it's very clear. But what it seems to be his role in the title I've heard within the facility is mental health coach. Okay. And I say all that context because I really don't know if that's what he is. Like, does he have a card that says mental health coach? Right. I'm not sure if that's the case, but that is what he's doing. He's working with players off the pitch because he does have some study when it comes to, psychology and things. He doesn't have a diploma, so that's why we got to be careful on calling him like a team psychiatrist or anything like that. But he does have studies in those areas. And what I've seen personally is him working with the injured players to keep them engaged, to keep them just okay when it comes to dealing with the rehabs, right? He's worked very closely with Paul Arriola. We see him consistently on the training field with players like Ryan Kent. He has worked directly with Jordan Morris quite recently. So he is a guy that works on the mental aspects of the game with these players.
And you end up with Steven Lenhart getting a 5, and it is revoking the credential privileges for Steven Lenhart for the remainder of the 25 regular season and postseason for his involvement in the fight that broke out between the two teams after the final. Quote, Lenhart will only be permitted in public seating areas during Seattle Sounders FC home matches and cannot be or on or near the field of play, nor in or around the locker rooms or tunnel. His access, again, will be reviewed ahead of the 2026 MLS season. That was in the release from Major League Soccer. Sounders have also been fined by the league and forced to pay an undisclosed amount for misappropriation of credentials. Any idea what that was? Is it basically that Lenhart was in a place he wasn't supposed to be?
Yeah, that's exactly what it sounds like when it comes to the verbiage, the wordage. What I've heard directly, obviously, within the organization of the Sounders, that he wasn't necessarily clear to be like on the bench or on the field at that particular time, and that's part of it. That's kind of what happened appropriately, which goes back to what is his title, with the team. He's a guy that I'm sure would have no issues being upstairs with the rest of the staff, but perhaps at that particular moment in time, he was just not supposed to be there. So that's, and I understand that that's the reason why you are discipline him. Brian Smetzer said, he knows that he was wrong and he's better for it moving forward. And I agree with that. I think that he, especially if he wasn't necessarily supposed to be there, is something that obviously needs to be taken care of. It needs to be looked over. But what I don't understand is how you make him the scapegoat for the whole thing, and you kind of make him the person that you're gonna really come down upon because you're trying to have people look over here when the real problem is it's right here, right? So, oh, look at my left hand, and then my right hand's doing all kinds of stuff. That's kind of what it feels like from the league when it comes to the Linehart situation. Now, let me clarify a couple of things. I've heard on comments that I'm only going after the players that are going for Inter Miami in terms of the brawl and things. Look, if I'm someone making a case for the Sounder players, is that the attackers, those who engaged people through fist and to aggression, were the Inter Miami players, was the Cellos, the Avileses, obviously Busquets, Falcon, full Nelson in people, then right there down on the field. The Sounder players, by all optics and by all standards of every video that I've seen, they are using grappling moves. They are trying to detain people. At no point did the Sounder players start swinging back. Linehart is seen throwing some punches, and that's the reason why he's also being disciplined. But when it comes to other players that are just trying to get people off their teammates, that is a defensive mechanism rather than an attacking mechanism. And if the Sounder players would have gone into fist fighting, into allowing this provocation to end up in a full fist fight, I think it would have been a worse situation. But that didn't happen because I feel like the Sounder players were very composed to that environment that they were put into.
Then to your point, could it not be perceived that you were trying to be in a defending yourself? And like I said, I'm playing devil's advocate here. So if you are trying to interpret any other penalties for any other individuals, to your point, you do see Jackson Reagan. He's got his hand on somebody's throat, and you see other players. Once again, Maxi Falcone. We kind of sit there. It's a rear chin lock on folks. Chelo Wegant, Thomas Aviles. They're trying to take swings. My guess is that the defensive that it can be construed as a defensive posture. We don't have, and this was the point that Dax made in hour number one, we don't have all of the paperwork. We don't have all of the the statements from all the players about what happened in these situations. Like I said, this is just straight up devil's advocate discussion here.
No, you're going to the right place. I see you.
So if we don't have all the paperwork and we don't have all of the video, we don't know what was an offensive move, we don't know what was a defensive move. We do know that Luis Suarez did an offensive move on the head of security for Seattle. That is indisputable. That was an offensive move by Luis Suarez, putting your cleat on the foot of the head of security and spitting. That's an offensive maneuver. We don't have all of the video or the evidence that could have been portrayed as defensive maneuvers, and that is my guess as to why, when at the end of the day, Suarez, as the only offensive maneuver, gets the extra matches suspension from Major League Soccer, where no one else got anything. And like I said, I'm talking Reagan, Jay Bell, Aviles, Weigand, Falcone, Sergi Busquets. We don't have all of the evidence, and I think that is probably playing into the idea that that's why Suarez is the only one that got the extra 3.
Yeah, and there's also almost a settlement, right? A situation where it's like, okay, we're not going to give any additional games to these other players where there might have been or might have not been enough evidence, and then we're not going to do anything against these Inter Miami players that may or may have not have been enough evidence on. So I see where you're going with it, and I do think that there is some sort of settling from the league to just kind of wash their hands of the whole thing and just letting it roll. But the one player that I do have an issue with is Sergio Busquets, because that's also an offensive and an aggression towards a player. He deliberately walks to Ovid Vargas and swings at his chin and essentially starts the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I feel like that one should have been also another action that by league standards should have been taken care of a lot more strictly, and there should have been more there to show that that's not okay by the means of the badge, right? Protect the badge, protect the players. You're not really doing that by just allowing Busquets to just do what he wants, right? And not to mention the fact that, again, the League Cup suspension might as well be built out of styrofoam because no one cares, right? So, and by the way, you're setting me up for failure here. You're gonna put me after Dax Mccarty? Man, that's tough. Can't follow that up, man. Can't follow that up.
Dax was hour number 1. You're hour number 2. It's
oh man, that's like me opening for Dave Chappelle or something. I mean, it's tough. I can't follow that up, man.
You kidding? You're the 4th half hour. You're batting cleanup. you're the Cal Raleigh of the show today. I mean, that's
all right. The big dumper. I like it.
All right, so you actually want to talk about some games that are going to be going on this weekend instead of talking about stuff off the field?
Let's do it. Let's
go backward. Let's talk about stuff in the Pacific time zone and work backward a little bit because, well, and we kind of sort of can work our way through. San Diego, Minnesota, sneaky good game, and that's one of the late games on Saturday night. San Diego a -122, Loons on the road a +290, draws a +282. What do you think?
I think that's a great game. You know, it is sneaky good because you might not necessarily look at these two teams and figure out that they're number 1 and number 2 in the West. And that's mainly Minnesota, right? Because of the style of play and how maybe at times they might not portray as the best soccer in the world. But I enjoy it, man. I think that is going to be extra offensive, ball dominant on the San Diego side with, you know, guys that are going to come at you right off the bat in Dreyer and Lozano and everything that San Diego does well against the Minnesota team that's saying, keep the ball. We don't care. We're going to play against the run of play, and we're going to be effective at it. I do feel like Tanny's a guy that Minnesota is going to continue to miss. I think that there's going to be a lot more from this team to force them to be even more effective in those few moments that they do create in general senses of the volume of play. But that's going to be a very good game. And I really do think that it could have serious implications moving forward. Obviously, if you get the points right now, San Diego's still going to be number 1, but you're kind of pushing at them. You are really making them feel you that we're coming up for the number 1 spot, specifically with the following games that are coming up for the Western Conference. I do like it. I think that it's going to be San Diego, though. Really enjoyed their last game. I think that Minnesota, by all accounts, as I mentioned, they have not looked as deliberate with their offensive movements, specifically in the final third. I thought that they struggled against Portland when they really shouldn't have. So I'm taking San Diego on that one.
Vancouver and Philly. In Vancouver, Vancouver is a plus 112. Philly on the road is a plus 216. Draws a plus 257.
Give me Philly, man. Like and I like the numbers. I really do. I've been looking at that one. Vancouver is a team that we knew that they were gonna have a little bit of a downgrade to that form that we saw early on. I think that there's a lot of quality players. I like what the coaching staff has done there to just keep this team engaged in that identity of play. But I do feel like Philadelphia is a team that just continues to surprise me time and time again. I think Cornell and Brian Smetzer are my two right now current votes for MLS Coach of the Year. I mean, just the work that they have done, the ability for Cornell to almost switch a lot of what we thought Philadelphia Union soccer was, has been unbelievable. I think that they have the offensive players to do a lot of damage right now. There's a lot of things that I can't disagree with what Cornell is doing, and that goes a long way. So with the numbers, with the away, I think Philadelphia takes this game, and it's going to be a fun one.
Okay, so where's Mikey Veras in your discussion for Coach of the Year?
I think he's up there as well. And that's a great shout, right? I mean, obviously, expansion team, obviously a guy that it's in the Shield race, a guy that's probably going to take the West. So he's definitely in there. Maybe we could give him a little bit of even more flowers, because if it is an expansion team, it is a team that also hasn't filled up all their DP spots, and they've been able to kind of work with what they've had. So yeah, that's another great shout, man. That's very true. Mikey Veras, Cornell, and Brian Smetzer. I think I'm gonna have to wait till a week before I'm supposed to vote before I make that one. But yeah, those are three guys that are definitely under running.
Sounders host LAG. Sounders are a big favorite, no surprise, at a minus 222. LAG is a plus 490 in the composite, and the draw is a plus 380.
Wow. Yeah, those numbers are obvious, right? I mean, it is what it is. Is what we got out of a LA Galaxy team that is playing just for keeps. You know, they're just there so they don't get fined, like Marshall Lynch would say. And what that starting lineup looks like, I'm not really sure. Are they going to play more of the young guys? Or they're going to continue to figure out what they're going to get for 2026? All I know is that Greg Vanney is going to want to come in and make a statement that you cannot beat me 3 times this year. I think there will be a sense of pride going into this game. So it might be more difficult. I would not be surprised if Greg Vanney put in some wrinkles in his usual style of play against this Sounders team, where you've kind of failed already here at home, here against the Sounders at Lumen Field. So I would not be surprised by that. Now, the Sounders is where things kind of get interesting. Albert Rusnak back in practice will be available for this one. Jordan Morris, ahead of time, according to me, according to Brian, he's just a couple of days ahead. I had him a whole other week before he was full in training. Jordan Morris was full on training yesterday, and the kid just looks like he wants to be out there, right? And I can't call him a kid anymore. But Jordan Morris is a guy that's just hungry to get back. I think he sees the competition. He sees a team that is in this historic run. He wants to be part of it. So that's going to be interesting. I don't think he'll be available for this one. It's kind of late into the week, but we'll see. Brian said that there will be some additional testing on that shoulder to figure out where he's at, but maybe he'll be there for the Inter Miami game. So the interesting part of this game is, how do you rotate? My guess is that you put your best 11 to play the Galaxy, simply because you want them in some sort of run of play. I'm going to give Inter Miami the shoulder and say we don't care about this midweek game, and regardless of what happened, we're going to rotate in Miami and we're going to worry about Austin, which is a conference game against a team that's started to get some traction. So that's what I kind of feel will happen. I think you get your best 11 against the Galaxy. Brian will rotate on Tuesday against Inter Miami, and then he'll play his best 11 once again at Austin.
I was going to ask you, but you went ahead and went down that road. Right now, Messi and friends are a minus 120. Seattle on the road a plus 285, and your draw is a plus 267 in the composite. So you took my last question from me, was trying to figure out, okay, how's it looking with the matchup with LAG, knowing you've got a quick turn going all the way cross country to the Erector set to take on Messi and friends on Tuesday, but you kind of picked that out for me, huh?
Yeah, I mean, and obviously you're going to want to prioritize those Western Conference games, but then I feel like Brian's been so good in the mind games, right? That throwing a rotated lineup over there is just yet another insult to that very generic franchise. He's just saying we are who we are. We're going to rotate, and then we're going to worry about that Austin game. Even with the rotation, though, maybe I'm a little bit too ahead and maybe I'm a little too confident, but I would not mind taking the Sounders away in that one either. I actually think that Miami's going to struggle against, Charlotte this week?
Yeah, they're in Charlotte.
Yeah. Charlotte, at home, they have the most wins at home. I feel like they're really found some so they really closed up the holes that they had in the inconsistencies that they've had this season. I think that with everybody in that attacking end starting to really get a rapport, this team is showing you some interesting things. So I think Miami's going to have a hard time in Charlotte. Then they're going to play the Sounders, and they're going to be beat. They're going to be tired. They're going to be overly stimulated, especially Lionel Messi, to try to make a point against the Sounders. And that might be a double-edged sword. So I like the Sounders even in that game.
And if you win against LAG, you're still 3 points clear of LAFC and Austin, and it doesn't matter what they do on the weekend. They're trying to keep pace with you, as Seattle is trying to keep pace with Vancouver, who is 5 points ahead of you in the standings, and you both have 2 matches in hand on San Diego.
By the way, what's the goal compost for the San Jose LAFC game? Because I've been looking at that one for a while, and I just want to know.
All right, so let's take a peek on the totals. 2.5 a minus 198. 3.5 is where it flips to a plus 122. 4.5 is a plus 274.
Man, I like that 4.5. Call me crazy, but I like that 4.5. I think there's going to be an open-ended game. I think that there's a lot of underlying stories there. I think that anytime that Christian Arango plays LAFC, he's going to have a little chip on his shoulder. I think the Igor De Jesus injury for LAFC is massive. I think I feel like it's been a little bit underrated.
Yeah.
To be quite frank, and I know you got Song, and I know you just picked up a free agent to kind of settle that open there, that absence. But he had been a guy that had truly given LAFC some balance, and without him, I see that midfield being a lot easier to play through, and I think that benefits San Jose. I'm not saying San Jose's going to win. I'm just saying that there's going to be a lot of goals in that one.
You're digging a lot of goals at a plus 274. All right, cut the promo for us with Sounder at Heart, with Pulso Sports. Where do folks need to go, and what do they need to do?
Go ahead and find all of the information that we just kind of talked about in terms of the Sounders on Pulso Sports. We talked to Brian Smetzer. We talked to Obed Vargas coming back from his U20 stint with the Mexican national team. So that's on Pulso Sports. Of course, on Friday, we're going to be recording without Jeremiah. He's unfortunately not going to be around. He has some family matters that he needs to take care of. Pretty sure it's just a wedding, but he's not going to be around. So we'll probably do it with Tim Foss and other Sounder Hard extraordinaire. So go ahead and check that out. But we will have what we learned this week on Friday. And then, of course, on Monday, me and Ari will be looking into the weekend that was, breaking down how the Sounders did, what happened, as well as checking out the Western Conference race, man. That, was sneaky good as well. It might not be as interesting as the East a lot of times, but I feel like there's some really interesting stories there.
Yep, the interest is at the top and the bottom in the East, and it's folks trying to get in and get their positions in the West. And we also know that following you means that we get to find out what's the latest at the Providence and Swedish Transmission Repair and Smoothie Shop on a weekly basis. So, as always, my friend, great to see you. Be safe. Enjoy the matches this weekend because you got two, and we got two to talk about next time you're here. One of them involving Messi and friends. Be safe, my friend. We'll catch up with you next week.
I'll see you, boss man.
There he goes. That's Niko Moreno from Pulso Sports, Sounder at heart, choice D, all the above. He's going to be heading to look at practice and stuff, like things where you get to report. And it's always good to catch up with our buddy Niko Moreno, and it's great to catch up with our friend Nino Torres and find out what's going on in Europe and find out what's going on in South America with CONMEBOL. And it was a treat to catch up with Dax Mccarty in his Hyundai Santa Fe this morning. So it was a very full show, a bunch of different perspectives. And it was interesting viewpoints on a lot of the topics that we brought to the table. Once again, remember tomorrow, 10 o'clock, Danny Higginbotham's going to join us. Danny will be part of the call with the Kanji man, Steve Cangelosi. They will be at the bank, and they're going to be calling Charlotte and Messi and friends on the weekend. We'll get Danny's thoughts about that one. We'll get Danny's thoughts about Luis Suarez. We'll get Danny's thoughts about the Eastern Conference. And like I said, I'm going to sneak in a question about Nottingham Forest because we all see occasionally when Danny gets a home game and he can be close to home and the schedule gets coordinated that he'll be spending time in the studios in Stamford, Connecticut, breaking down stuff for the multicolored bird as they have their Premier League coverage. And so I'm going to sneak in a Nottingham Forest question at the very least for Danny Higginbotham. Thanks to all of you guys for dropping by and hanging out with us. I know that Jacob's Stash was in on the Twitch pitch, and he gets it wild that Don Garber feels it's okay to say threes just fine, but the Sounders staff is out for the rest of the season. There were a lot of things that a lot of folks raised their eyebrows about the fact that it took as many days as it did for both the player and for the team to come up with a statement, and then for the league to come up with an over-the-top, and then the number of players that were involved in the over-the-top. Then it was just Luis Suarez. But like I said, to the point that we were making throughout the show, and like I said, Dax made this point first, that we don't have all the evidence. We don't have all the reports. We don't have all the paperwork. We don't have all the things. And so the league, taking all of that into account, then comes up with the decision that they make. So we'll keep an eye on that. And like I said, you gave Luis Suarez a week's vacation, so he can keep track of those 38-year-old knees too. So we'll see how Messi and friends are in Charlotte. We'll see how Messi and friends are in Seattle, and we'll see how they are next week as they continue their 6 matches in 1 month hosting DC United. My guess is that you're probably going to get some heavy rotation. So in a perfect world, you're probably going to have starting lineups as best you can for Charlotte and for Seattle, and then you probably rotate a bit when you're hosting DC United on the weekend, provided you've gotten all the points that you think that you need to get as you are rolling forward. Just a quick reminder on the standings once again with everybody that is at the top of the table in the Eastern Conference. We mentioned the chaos, and it's a different chaos depending on which conference you're talking about. So it is Philly in, don't know where, 5 points clear. Cincinnati at 52, Charlotte's at 50, one more win than Nashville at 50. That gets you to 5. Purple team's at 47. Messi and friends, 4 matches in hand. Like I said, that's why they're playing 6 matches this month. 4 matches in hand. If they win them all, they would be the number 1 seed. I don't quite think they win them all. I think that they probably win 3 of the 4, maybe get 10 points out of a possible 12. That would put them a point behind Philly. If Philly stumbles on the run in any way, it's a chance for Messi and friends to pounce. Columbus is at 46. They have 1 less win. They've also played 3 more matches than Messi and friends. And then you take the skip to 44 points. NYC, Chicago at 42. Then Red Bulls at 40. Then everybody else down below. Revs at 31. Atlanta 26. Toronto 25. Montreal and DC both eliminated at 24. Identical records at 5-15 and 9. They've both given up north of 50 goals this year. In the West, Seattle right now, once again, they're in the 4 spot, but they have 2 matches in hand on San Diego and Minnesota. They win them both. Vancouver stumbles. Seattle could be your 3. But I think that's what you're looking at right now is being one of the top 4 in the Western Conference. Vancouver's at 49. Minnesota's played 29. They're at 51. And San Diego's played 29. They're at 56. Then the chaos from down there. LAFC's at 41. Austin's at 41. Austin, however, has played 2 more matches. And that's what Seattle has to keep an eye on. 3 points north of LAFC, match in hand on LAFC. Austin has played 2 more than LAFC. They're at 41, same number of wins at 11. And the goal difference is far superior by LAFC. Portland at 39. That gets you to the 8-9 right now. It's Colorado and San Jose at 36 and 35. They both played 29 matches. Houston right now on the outside looking in at 33. RSL and Dallas both at 31. RSL has 2 more wins. They also have a match in hand on FCD. Sporting Kansas City at 27. All Caps at 22. LAG is at 20 with a record of 4-16-8. So that's where we are. A couple of transactions just to kind of keep you up to date. FC Cincinnati signed Miles to a contract extension through 2027, option for 2028. 2 goals and 60 appearances, all comps, 169 regular season matches with Atlanta United and FC Cincinnati, 2-time MLS best 11, 2-time All-Star, and he has also scored 3 goals and 35 appearances for the U.S. Other news, Orlando has moved on from Ramiro Enrique. He has been transferred to Al Kholoud earlier this week in the Saudi Pro. 24-year-old former Argentina Youth International joined Orlando as a U22 ahead of the 23 season from Bonfield. 26-7 in 102 appearances across all comps for the Lions. And you get a quote from Ricardo Morera, the GM and sporting director for the Purple team. So moving on, Ramiro Enrique to Al Kholoud in Saudi Arabia. Also, Charlotte signs Baye Coulibaly. We know him from Crown Legacy. Signing him, the 19-year-old under contract through 28 with an option for 29, occupying a U22 slot and an international roster slot. LAFC, and this is what Niko mentioned, the signing of midfielder Jailson. Jailson signs as a free agent through 25, options for 26 and 27. So basically, they've signed him for the rest of the year. 29-year-old Brazilian vet, most recently played for Celta de Vigo, had a goal and an assist in over 30 appearances. Previous stints with Chapecoense, Grêmio, and Palmeiras in his native Brazil, Fenerbahce, and Dalian Pro in China, 9+5 in 259 games. Confident John Thorrington with 2 sentences of saying things, or technically 3 things of saying things nice about Jailson in their press release. Also, it was Damian Lowe being signed by Houston Dynamo to add to their experience at the back, international center back through the end of the year, options 26 and 27. And he signs as a free agent after last playing for Saudi Arabian side Al Ukhdud. 3+2 in 74 matches for Jamaica, recently featuring the 25 Gold Cup. 4th MLS team for Lowe, Seattle, Messi and friends, Philadelphia Union, 3+1 in 55 regular season appearances. So those are your transactions. And remember, picking folks up on a free. You can do that. You just can't do anything having to do with any kind of monetary attachment to it. So that's why you're seeing these kinds of transactions with, say, Coulibaly being signed from Crown Legacy, Jailson signed on a free, Damian Lowe signed on a free. So keep an eye on those. And remember, anything having to do with the Turkish window and anything in Eastern Europe and close to the Middle East and North Africa, you have until tomorrow. So Turkish window closes tomorrow if you're trying to come up with any kind of activity involving a Turkish pro side. So that is a Thursday Thoughts here on SDH. Thanks for dropping by, as you always do. It'll be a full show tomorrow, getting you ready for the weekend, and we'll find out what kind of trouble we can get into. Tonight, we are catching up with Dan Orlowitz. He will be once again in Japan. We will once again be here in the office. We'll catch up with him to get a postmortem on the international window with the Japan national team, what the vibe was after the loss to the United States 2-0, and we'll find out where things are as they continue to progress. It was a rotated side, yes, but we'll get more of the 4-1-1 when it comes to the Japan national team, and we'll run Dan's interview tomorrow as well. That is another go-around of SDH AM. That's your Thursday Thoughts. Once again, don't forget to follow along on all of our social media. Like, friend, be a part of the conversation on the YouTubes, the X, the Twitch, the IG, where we post a lot of our video content, all of that stuff. And once again, Gilmar Machado starts his writing as one of our correspondents, and he'll let you know what's going on in South America, specifically Brazil, about the Copa, about CONMEBOL, Copa do Brasil, and the FFP model that is being created. So add Gilmar Machado to your stacks when it comes to all the stuff that we have at soccerdownhere.net. Whew, it's a busy show. Back at it again tomorrow in less than 22. So since it is the end of the show, that means we get to do this. Mucho Platiel, play it safe. Back at it. 9:05 again tomorrow morning. Get you ready for Atlanta and Columbus, too. Enjoy. Unless I hit the wrong thing. Now we're going to close the show because you have to hit the closing music. That is just as equally important. How about now? We'll see you later.